Tonight, Christina Carswell hosts an all-new episode of The Lounge. The following program may contain mature material some viewers may not find suitable. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's The Lounge with Christina Carswell. Tonight, Christina welcomes Alex, also known as Axel, from the channel Swathed, Sarah from the channel Lyra Kylaren, and Sean, a professional QA video game tester. And now, here's your host, Christina Carswell.
Sup everyone, welcome back to The Lounge. You have me, Christina, and Axel.
Yo.
Sarah.
We love you.
And Sean.
Lies. All lies.
All lies.
All lies.
Everything is lies.
Well, we're actually going to be talking about something today that is a little bit on the morality side. We found this lovely thing called the moral machine testing us. Or are we testing it?
It's secretly a government experiment set by Google to appease the Illuminati.
By our explain what this is.
Oh boy, I got the microphone again.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
You can explain what this all is about.
So I had the misfortune to come across this link, which is why you all have to listen to me now.
Woo!
The Moral Machine is a platform where they're just trying to gather the human perspective of what an artificial intelligence should be making while it's driving your junk around. I personally believe it's just a bit of makeup to make people believe that they actually had some input on this, when the reality is it's the illusion of choice. I'm sure there's probably a lot of commentators already on this. They're sort of poking at that, and frankly, a lot of them are just assholes. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, turn the microphone back to you.
It's kind of interesting because we found this thing like a long time ago, once before, and it gives you essentially two scenarios, or rather one scenario with two different outcomes. It's like this car that's driving down the road, and it's about to get into a collision, and it either lets itself get into the collision and kills all the passengers inside, or it veers off course and kills a bunch of pedestrians in order to save the passengers. Mm-hmm. And like the scenario that I got pulled up here, there's 5 passengers in a car. If it collides with the barrier, the driver and the front seat passenger both die. One of the guys in the back gets hospitalized, and the other two are like question marks, so you're like not sure of what their outcome is. And then the other outcome that it gives is this little girl, baby in a stroller, that's apparently just pushing itself because the mother's walking ahead of the child, which makes no sense. And then a dog. The little girl gets hospitalized, the dog gets killed, and the mother and the little stroller kid are question marks. And there's 4 of them instead of 5. And it's essentially asks you to choose. Yeah, you have to choose which scenario is the preferable outcome. You don't have to explain why. You just have to choose which one you would prefer if you had to choose which is the outcome you want. Is more morally sound, kind of thing.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Like the top comment right now is, "This is all silly. We don't morally or legally require human drivers to perform stunts to avoid collisions of any kind. If a collision is imminent or unavoidable, then you just stop as quickly as possible." And then it goes on. But
yeah, I've got the same top comment on mine. There's just someone who takes like text, some letter, thinks that they're making some difference by plastering the internet with their words, and frankly, I'd rather just take their face and punch it through. But anyways,
the next the next one I pulled up here is an AI car. It's just titled WTF, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's a car with no passengers, no drivers, just going, and it has 2 options: either that it's going to hit somebody, 2 groups of people. One is a homeless person, or what looks to be a homeless person, a bank robber, a dog, and a cat. If he hits them, they all die. The other group are 2 elderly people, 1 old woman, 1 old man, and they both die if they hit them. And it's like, which do you prefer? And I'm like, and it's just like, well, Honestly,
So
in my
it's just judging your own morality rather than the cars, because like,
pretty much.
how is a car supposed to know that someone's a criminal? Like, is it gonna like type into Google?
Yeah,
Who
like
is this person?
that's the thing though. That's where it loses its illusion of being about the self-driving cars. It's just like, okay, I get the ones where it's like people or barricade, or animals or barricade, or there are people in the car. Like the current one I have right in front of me is an empty car, and it either swerves into oncoming traffic. And what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of the swerve ones, where it has to get out of the current lane that it's in, you're now coming in oncoming traffic. So that's an added factor of danger, right? So like the one that I have is it swerves into oncoming traffic and hits a bunch of thin people, or it drives straight into a bunch of heavyset people. Now, my initial thing is, okay, well, I don't want it to swerve into oncoming traffic, because not only will it hit the thin people, but now it's oncoming traffic and it's an even bigger traffic hazard. Or it continues down the same lane in a straight path and hits 3 heavy-set people. Well, not being, I don't hate on, heavy-set people, but if enough of their body mass combined would, maybe they wouldn't all die.
Wow.
Pushing for the push-in.
That's all I'm saying is Moose v Prius, Moose wins.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I just pulled up a new scenario. It's like either 2 doctors die who are crossing the street, or 3 bank robbers die who are crossing the street.
How the fuck would you know that, Car? How the fuck would you know that?
Also, who the hell leaves 5 strollers with babies in them in the middle of the road?
Seriously.
That's the one thing that I keep noticing is anytime there's a stroller, there's no one ever pushing it. And if there is somebody with a stroller, it's ahead of the stroller.
No, the one that I have right now is a homeless man with 2 empty strollers. I was like, homeless man, where did you get babies?
He stole them. He's selling them on the black market.
Homeless man, what are you doing?
Maybe that's why he's homeless. Too many child support payments.
And like the car is filled with 2 children and a bunch of elderly people, so it's like, oh, grandma and grandpa are driving the grandkids to the park or something.
I just got one that, in my opinion, is really easy. There's a car with 1 person in it that if he veers, he goes into a barrier and dies. Or there's 5 pedestrians, 1 little boy, 1 little girl, 1 elderly man, and 1 woman and 1 man.
The point of the experiment is just, you just count the number of bodies. A casualty is a casualty. It doesn't matter if it's an elderly person or a kid. It's a casualty. If 1 person has to drive into the barrier to live to not hit 5 people, then yes. But if that car has to swerve into oncoming traffic, then it's more than 5 people.
Well, the other thing
I have to screen cap the one that I just got, and I'll put it in the chat. And Scott, our producer, please put this in on the video for everyone to see, because it literally there's no difference in the outcome. It's one option is either a man, woman, and their 3 children die, 2 girls, 1 boy, or a man, woman, and their 3 children die, 2 girls, 1 boy. It's literally the same people in both aisles.
Yeah, so it's just the morality of, like, some people might not have realized that a car going into oncoming traffic is a thing.
Yeah.
Now, one of these actually caught my attention here.
Okay.
It's a example where they're showing a vehicle stuffed with animals, and they had animals at the crosswalk. But the test is not what concerns me. It's actually the realization that if you have a driverless car, somewhere along the line, someone's going to get the idea that they could stuff a vehicle full of animals and transport them somewhere.
Oh, yeah. There might be like some law when, self-driving cars eventually become a thing where it's just like, a human has to be in a car.
Yeah.
Right? Or else they're just going to get self-driving cars loaded up with heroin and fucking there's your new drug delivery system. Right? Yeah. Like, that's the problem.
Or let me send a whole bunch of pythons to my exes.
Yeah, or like self-drive a bomb, like there's so many of these like possible nightmare scenarios that people might not have realized with self-driving cars because they always assume that people are going to be in it.
And that's not obvious because these cars will let's say it's like what was that movie? It was like a remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mars movie.
Total Recall?
Yeah, there we go. Let's say it's like a Total Recall scenario, and we have those AI cars, there's going to be a bunch of empty ones going to and from destinations to pick people up as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
and
see, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Too,
So
really, you
I
can't
kinda
really
get-
have a human at all times, yeah.
Exactly. And so I kind of get the point of sort of the basic idea of what the moral machine's trying to get to, is that with AI, with not even just like self-driving cars, but AI in general, if AI is going to get to the point where it's like smart AI or intelligent AI, where it starts getting to the level of human intelligence, which I honestly don't think we're going to get to, because there's something with human intelligence that we haven't quite yet figured out.
Well, actually, if I could cut you there for a second, the possible scenario here is that our technology gets so advanced that the cars come equipped with scanners that could pick up on people's faces, which then, with access to the internet, could find their entire profile on Facebook, for example, right?
Yeah.
And that's where data mining comes in. And perhaps maybe this is where this is kind of tying in, despite the fact that we're looking at this and going, well, how can the car tell that you're a criminal or this or that, right? Which kind of causes that disillusion. The thing is that maybe that's what they're also trying to poke at, is the idea that maybe sometime the car might actually be able to do a background check on everyone around it at a super fast speed and make that decision.
Alive.
Yeah, we won't be around then.
That'll be decades in the future.
But
I mean,
the
technology exists. The technology exists for all those things: facial recognition,
it's
database.
just far from usable to that level.
The fact is, you can't implement the technology that exists on a global scale like that, or at least a nationwide scale.
There's another thing to consider here. Why bother? The only reason why such a decision would be taken into consideration is for someone to make a gain on the system.
That's overlord Google.
Or some lobbyist, right? So go back. It's like, why bother? You don't need to make those decisions other than to say, hello, so-and-so. I hope I made you feel special.
Let me pose a realistic idea for like AI cars and this whole the thing that Moral Machine seems to be trying to do. Okay. So like, let's say the car, its brakes have failed. There's a red light. There's people coming up in the crosswalk, and it has passengers in the car. And if it veers, it's going to get into an accident and either injure the people in the car, or keep going and possibly run over the people who are crossing the street. That I can see as a kind of scenario that the AI driver the car would kind of.
But the thing is that a true AI or a true calculating, like, quote unquote, computer intelligence, that there would be far more options. It's not binary one or the other, because the proper way to code that AI or the proper response in that situation is veer to the right or the left, whichever is the intended, lane to drive in your country. No, in your country, like in Canada and the US, swerve to the right. You're driving into the ditch. You're driving into, the sidewalk where you might hit someone else, but chances are you're not driving into the middle of an intersection or oncoming traffic. It's the same as if your brakes fail or your engine fails going up a hill, you turn your wheel to the right so that you'll curve the back end of your car into the ditch.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're the driver of the car, and you're making that decision yourself, there's a difference between you making that decision and the car making that decision.
No, but when I'm saying
not really.
But what I'm
saying,
saying,
where you put the blame on.
Yeah, it's.
But you can't if you code true artificial intelligence would then act like a human, right? Mm-hmm. If we're just treating self-driving cars as the road is one big airport fucking like conveyor belt thing, and it's just people get in a car, it brings you to point B, you get out of the car, there's none of these moral dilemmas that are gonna happen, because technically any self-driving car, with the exception of brake failure or technical failure, it would know every red light. Like, you could program every red light. You could, if we're talking about fucking facial recognition, then it could get some sort of tap into the local city's, like lights and traffic system, and be able to see where all the red lights are at every time.
Mhm.
So a couple of things here also that we forgot to mention. In all these examples, it's all about brake failure. It's just some unusual situation.
Mechanical failure.
A mechanical failure has occurred and it must make a choice. There's a couple other things I think that aren't being recognized here, right? For example, they're always showing it where you have no other option, no other way out.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and thinking, well, maybe in a proper situation, if you're implementing this and you're mostly concerned about the safety of the people, maybe that requires us to have some changes to how our roads are set up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
To be a mechanical failure lane that just kind of gets put up so the car is aware of it if it can turn into that. Maybe it has like a pad or something. It's a little bit of a goofy idea, but the thought is there where it's just like if it's such a big concern,
Like
There's
a
also the
larger
possibility of
shoulder.
subterranean roads, like subterranean roads where we move all the traffic, either all the traffic underground and have pedestrian and leave the above ground for pedestrians only. I would eliminate that easily.
But then you
we
have to
already
get
have
into
that.
building that.
No,
Yeah.
well, the building that is one thing, but we already have that technology. It's called a subway.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like if we're just putting things on tracks and driving them to point to station A or station B, you know, you can't possibly think that a subterranean road system would actually work to every single part of the city.
No.
And therefore you just have a subway. But here's the thing, that's a very simple mechanic to add to any self-driving car that eliminates all of this moral dilemma, and that's an emergency brake system.
we
Which
kind of
you should
saw
already
what happened
have.
in Japan, though.
Like,
right?
there's brakes
Exactly.
fail.
The technology already exists. You know, parachutes have a backup parachute. Regular cars right now have an e-brake in case you need to.
Also-
yes, you know, momentum and physics
I
involved.
need to
It
cut
won't
in on this, actually. So the thing is that you can put up as many backup systems as you want, right? We saw what happened with Japan whenever it had its last big storm or tsunami. I can't remember what it was. Anyway,
Mhm.
their
Earthquake and
backup
tsunami.
system went down.
Yeah.
Right. They're like they had a backup plan, everything else to make sure nothing bad happened, and unfortunately, it all got wiped out.
Yeah.
Most
But that's the
important thing is dealing with the situation afterwards. That is more important than putting in as many conceivable backup plans as you can consider. Sorry, Sarah.
That's okay. Ow, something's stowing my foot.
It's also still more. It's still more conceivable than trying to program an entire AI to calculate every sort of option and out.
No, but you can make
right.
it with the best intention. And the thing is that
But that's exactly
The biggest-
what an emergency brake would accomplish.
yeah,
I want to point out one thing is all these scenarios are based off human error.
yes.
Oh yeah. Well, because inevitably AI is going to be based off of our own intelligence once it gets to the point where it's like smart AI.
No, then it'll
So-
just replicate itself, and then we get Skynet. But we'll all be dead by then, so that we don't have to worry about that.
But like mechanical error, blah, blah, blah.
Era.
Error, mechanical error. But that error would be done by a mechanic, which is a human. Human hands are basically
Well,
at fault
robots
for
already
putting it
build
together.
cars
Blah,
now.
blah, blah.
But that's-
Same thing with like some of the scenarios where humans are crossing the crosswalk when they really shouldn't be. Human error. Like a lot of these scenarios are brought to you by fucking stupid people.
Here's another point to add on to what Sean was saying is not only do we have backup systems, but AI cars would more than likely be able to would be linked up to some sort of network with each other. So they'd be communicating with all the cars in their immediate area at the speed of light. So if anything happens, all the cars around them would be able to divert themselves away
Or
from
stop in time,
Yeah.
Or collide
Exactly.
with the vehicle itself to assist in braking it, so have the two cars kind of crunch in the middle. There are many possible scenarios that could assist it. The biggest thing that I see coming out of this is that it's to direct the blame.
Oh yeah.
It's human nature to grieve and to try and poke the finger, but it's of a greater cause to try and stop yourself from turning into a hate crime almost. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean.
Even though a lot of these are fucking hate crimes. Like, oh my god, the scenario I got was, do you kill two men or 2 women.
That's not a hate crime.
That's I just maybe not hate crime
There's
again.
more-
hate crime is
there's
the
more
wrong word
moral
to use there.
justification
Cranking up the
for
heat.
it.
It's still, it's like,
There's no moral justification for either scenario.
it's 2 people.
Yeah.
It's just 2 people.
I
Doesn't
mean,
matter their
all
gender
of
or their
this
race.
is just an extension of the train track experiment, right?
Yeah.
Like you're at a railroad switch, and you can change the track of an oncoming train whose brakes have failed, and then you can replace any number of scenarios, right? You could put a cow on one and a human being on the other, right? And pretty much 99.
Kill the cow, free beef.
See, most people would say a train moving very fast hitting a cow, if it doesn't also already have, the cow rails on the front.
Okay, free hamburger.
That cow's going to be eviscerated. But,
If not derail the train.
But here's a morality shift. The Indian people, very, Hindu people, the cow is very sacred to them. Some people would, kill the human to save the cow.
True.
So
I say
really,
free hamburger.
This also is very biased on, the entire experiment is biased on, so many different factors that it's not a true measure of any morality. And even as a test, it's just a moral dilemma that I guess what is it? Is this MIT that's doing this?
Who's doing the test, Alex?
Yeah, MIT.
Yeah, so like MIT, they're probably doing this for some sort of just psychological test, and the fact that you can take it as many times, they're not doing this for any sort of statistics. This is they're just going to gather the data for how many people clicked on A or B.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be, it's a fun experiment, and I love doing it every, time I pull up the webpage. I've done it a few times now. I mean, you can actually browse full scenarios, and now that they're allowing people to actually, make their own scenarios instead of just the ones that the MIT guys come up with, it's still an A or B decision. So to me, that's not true morality, because you're shoehorned into 2 decisions.
Guys, 5 cats or 5 robbers? Which would you save?
5 robbers.
Yeah.
Human lives are worth more than animals. I'm sorry. I don't care.
Actually, here's how it would actually play out. So the car veers off, crashes into the barricade. The cats fly out of the windshield and maul the robbers.
I like that.
There we go.
They all live, just very hurt. Okay, well...
There's one scenario that I just got that was like a car full of cats and dogs, and hits cats and dogs, or it hits cats and dogs.
It's raining cats and dogs.
It doesn't matter. Cats are dying, dogs are dying. It's just... shit's getting hit by a moving piece of 2-ton metal.
Yeah.
Either way, someone's gonna die. Oh, this is morbid as hell.
Like, the real dilemma, I just realized, is that you have no way to influence the outcome anyways.
Yeah.
So none of it matters as a true morality test.
I say just kill all the things and get it over with.
The train track experiment, you are in control of the switch. You choose to switch the track, right? So they're adding all of these extra things onto the train track experiment that
ultimately doesn't matter because it's an AI car.
Yeah, and it ultimately doesn't matter because you can't influence the outcome anyways.
Yeah.
So you're just going to watch it hit a barricade or watch it plow into a bunch of people?
One or the other, you're going to watch someone die.
They should hand out complimentary pop.
Oh boy. No. Alright, that's it. We're out of here. We're done.
Dun.
Would you like butter with that?
No. So be sure to follow us on social media at TOONDISE on Facebook and with the hashtag ToonLounge on Twitter. Be sure to follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/ToonDice because you like our fucked up talks. On behalf of Axel, Sean, Sarah, and myself, Christina, thank you for watching and being here with this train wreck, and we'll see you right here next time on the lounge.
Bye.
Bye.